Hello children, once again I am here with a new video for you all from the transport chapter. Now we are going to discuss about the railways. Okay, one of the means of transport on the land. As you all know that in the earlier video we had discussed about the roadways, which is the basic means of transport on land. Now this is another part of it. Okay, it is about the railways. And before I proceed with this topic, I want you all to share the link of this video with your friends, and also do subscribe the channel, right? As you subscribe it, also press the bell icon so that any video which is uploaded on the channel, you will get the notifications regarding that. Okay, so now let's continue with the topic. Railways, basically you all know it very well that railways are the principal mode of communication for both for freight as well as the passengers in India or any other countries, right? Any other country you can take. Everywhere the railways play an important role, especially a country like India. It plays a very, very important role. Now railways make it possible the activities like the basic activities of the people like business, sightseeing, pilgrimage, okay, and along with transportation of goods over long distance, right? So this is the basic use of the railways, especially in a country like India. Now they have been a great integrating force for more than 150 years. Railways in India bound the economic life of the country as well as accelerate the development of both. On one side, the industry, and on the other side, the agriculture. Moreover, the Indian Railways is the largest public sector undertaking in our country. And at present, it is one of the largest and busiest rail networks in the world. Now, when we talk about the total, suppose the distribution of railway, okay, before that, I want to tell you one more thing. The suburban trains means you must have heard about the local trains and all, right? That is actually also can be taken as a suburban train. Okay, now suburban trains, what are these? These are meant for actually to handle the rush hour traffic. Okay, so these trains basically that handle commuter traffic and are mostly EMUs. EMUs means electric multiple units, and these usually have 9 to 12 coaches in general. Okay, and basically, as I said just now, these are meant for handling the rush hour traffic. Rush hour traffic means at that period, suppose during that period when we are having the offices and the schools and colleges in the morning, as well as when these get over, okay, in the evening time. So these are called as the rush hour, and these at this time you'll find the traffic is too much. So to handle the traffic during this period, these are provided. The suburban trains are providing their services. Okay. Now, railway network in India is largely influenced by physiographic, economic and administrative factors. And according to that, you'll find in certain areas like the plains of India, northern plains of India, a large area, you will find these a dense network of railways can be seen. Okay, but if you compare that with the Rajasthan region, the desert area, or the mountainous areas like Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, and there you'll find, or the northeastern hills, these are the regions where you'll find very low density of railways because of the difficult terrains we are having in those areas. We cannot say it's totally absent. It is there, but comparatively you'll find a low density of railway network is there. Then next is to ease the pressure of the huge size of the Indian railways on the centralized management system. this entire Indian Railways has been divided into 17 different zones. Now, the next thing here we need to discuss is regarding the track system. Okay. Now, basically, based on the width of the track means between the two rails. Okay. Between the two rails, what is exactly the distance? That is called the width of the track. Okay, so based on the width of the track, the Indian Railways has been divided into three categories, right? Number one is broad gauge, number two is meter gauge, and number three is narrow gauge. Now, what is broad gauge? Basically, broad gauge is the category in which you will find the distance between the two rails. Okay, the distance between the two rails is almost 1.67 meters. That is 1 point. Distance is 1.67 meters. Number two, it accounts for about 85% of the total route length in India. That means almost in the entire country, maximum part of the total transportation through the trains is carried over under the broad gauge. And besides this, now where we can find the broad gauge rail tracks? Basically, it links all the major ports, the important cities, the important industrial centers or the educational centers, okay, the metropolitans and the interior towns also. So maximum area is actually covered with the broad gauge. So 3 points we are getting here. Number one is the distance between the rails. Number two is what total route length it is covering, right? And number three is where it is found. Now let's talk about the second type. Second type is about the meter gauge. Now meter gauge is a type of, or you can say a category in which you will find the distance between the two rails, okay, is exactly 1 meter. And number two is it accounts for about 11% of the total route length in India. The total trains, wherever we are getting the service by the trains, out of the total network, 11% is under the meter gauge. Then it can be found in some less developed regions of our country also, right? In limited areas only you will find, and these are basically the less developed regions, or you can say near the industrial centers. Especially it is in the case of several industries which are having very close by, suppose the mining areas. So from the mining areas, the raw materials or the minerals are carried to the industries. Okay, so in those cases also you'll find the meter gauge can be seen. So these are the main areas where it can be found. Now next is the narrow gauge. Narrow gauge, basically, again, the first point is regarding the distance. Distance between the two rails is now, it is less than 1 meter. Okay, so this is how much? It is 0.76 meter. And it accounts for about 4% of the total route length. So where we can find this 4%? Basically, it is confined to the hilly or mountainous areas, right? So these all are the important points about the track system what we follow in India. Now let's talk about the advantages of the railways. In general, the advantages, if we take, the first thing we should know about is it facilitates the long distance travel. Especially for long distance, it is the one of the best means of transport. At least on the land area, if you compare it with the roadways, it is more comfortable, right? And it is whenever we have to travel for long distance, the bulky goods can be carried at a low cost, right? So this is actually something very important regarding the railways. Now it helps in transporting the raw materials to the production units and also the finished goods, both ways, and also the finished goods from the production units to the market. Okay, so at a cheap cost, it is providing that transportation service. Now, next is it helps in reducing the sufferings during the natural calamities in certain areas. So it helps in providing immediate help to those areas which are suffering with such calamities. Then next is it is very quick as compared to the roadways. No doubt it is quick, it is faster and more regular form of transport. Then it helps in the industrialization process of a country. The next point you can give is it helps in the quick movement of goods from one place to the other. Then it encourages the mobility of labor and thereby provides a great scope for employment. It is also one of the safest forms of transport. It has got the carrying capacity of the railways is extremely large. If you take the two examples, suppose on one side we are taking the railways, on the other side we take the roadways. Okay, in one truck, let's take the example of a truck. Okay, it can carry a limited amount of suppose any material. Okay, or suppose we have to carry a large amount of the total goods has to be carried from one place to the other. For that, the trucks are having certain capacity, only that much they can carry. But when we take the trains on the other side, one train can carry you can say many times more than a truck, right? And moreover at a cheaper cost and faster movement also. So that is why we compare always, and when we find these two means of transport on the land, always railways is a better option. Then the next thing is it is the largest public undertaking in the country. It is providing employment also on large scale. Many people are employed in the Indian Railways. So these all are the advantages of the Indian Railways. Now let's talk about the disadvantages of it. Right? Now the most important disadvantages are, first thing is that it requires a large investment of capital. When we have to provide the rail service or the trains service we have to provide, for that purpose we need to have a lot of investment. Okay, laying down of the rail tracks and the railway wagons and all, right, engines, all these are required. So it needs a lot of investment. Number one. Number two is that the cost of construction, maintenance, all these are very high as compared to the roadways. Then the flexibility is very less, or you can say no, it's not flexible. That means if we have to we are moving on suppose on a track, right, through the train we are moving to certain place. When we are moving, at that time only we decide to move somewhere else. We cannot do that. But in the case of roadways, we can immediately do that. Instead of going straight, we can turn around, okay, to the other path. So that becomes easy. And that is why it is said as it is more flexible. Always roadways is considered as more flexible as compared to railways. Then next is it cannot provide door-to-door service. What we get in the case of roadways. Roadways always provide us door-to-door service. Okay, but as compared to that, if we take the railways, it is going to drop us at the railway station. So no such service is provided by this. Then it is unsuitable and uneconomical for short distance especially. For long distance, it's good. But for short distance, it becomes unsuitable or uneconomic also. Right? It will have more charge then. And small traffic of goods, suppose less amount of goods have to be carried. So for that purpose also it becomes more expensive as compared to roadways. Okay, so this is again one disadvantage. Then again, next is it becomes very difficult to lay down the rail tracks in especially very difficult terrains like hilly regions or the northeastern states of India. You can take the best example, or high mountainous areas of the Himalayan region, or the other side you can take the example of dense forested area. So such areas you'll find laying down of the rail tracks becomes very difficult. then it is more tedious as compared to the air travel. If we take the other means of transport, the airways is considered as the most comfortable means of transport. So if we compare the railways with airways, always it is more tedious. Okay. Now, it can serve only on the land areas. That is again one big disadvantage of it, that it cannot move beyond the land area. Okay. On the oceans, or you can say between the two continents, if we have to travel or we have to send some material from one place to the other between the two continents, in that case the railways are not practically efficient, right? So it is limited to the land areas only. This is again a very important disadvantage of it. So all these are the points regarding the railways. Now this is all with this video, and as I leave, I want to remind you once again to share the link of this video with your friends and the classmates, and also subscribe the channel, right? Because unless you subscribe and you press the bell icon, you won't get the information regarding any new video related to your syllabus. If it is uploaded on the channel, you won't get any information. If you have pressed the bell icon, you will get all the notifications related to the uploading of any new video. We are going to meet again in another video of transport. So till then, bye.